Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show to talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of In the Dark. A great episode. A lot of crazy things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, we're literally picking up right where last week's episode ended off, and it's like, alright, Dean, give us the drugs. Josiah's gonna kill us. It's like, no. I think we can use this as an opportunity to deal. I was like, okay, so what is your plan? Turns out his plan is to use this as an opportunity to get his job back. And that's why I'm like, I guess because for him, it's so interesting because I'm once again trying to understand the psychology of Dean. Like trying to understand, like, it's like, are you trying to get your job back because you're like, I'm a cop, I was good at it, and the fact of the matter is I was actually doing the right thing for once, even though I was kind of shady in the past, or was it more so just because, things, I mean, to be fair, he kind of had no other aspects, like in the sense of like the deals he had with Nia, that kind of fell through, so he needed the money from his job, but even that wouldn't been enough. But it's like things are kind of falling apart. He needed at least some form of stability in his life, so I need to get my job back, and it's like, because he knows that if he gets this bust, not only will he get his job back, oh man, he'll be even better off than before, So there's a whole avenue to it, I think. And so he's like, Murphy, you got to come with me. And the others are like, Max is like, no, I'll come with you. It's like, no. She reluctantly has to go with him, and it's like, wait. Murphy's like, where are we going? It's like, this isn't the way to the arcade. Like, you don't have to get on the highway. He's like, we're going to make a stop. I was like, are we going to stop by your house or something first? Lo and behold, they stop. She's like, what are we doing here? He's like, I want you to tell Chloe that the reason why we broke up is because you were insensitive about the whole Jules situation. I'm like, dude, she's literally against the clock. She's like, Josiah will literally kill me and everyone I care about if I don't do this. And you're telling me you want me to have dinner with you and your daughter? I was like, wow, Dean's on some next level shit right now. That is nuts. And then at the same time all that's going down, lo and behold, Max, Jess, and Felix get a surprise guest, Darnell. Because Darnell, I'm not too surprised, shows up like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys. Because Jess was freaking out. She's like, he knows. They're like, calm down. No, you can sit down with us. And it's like, because it's like Nia, he went checking all the spots. It's like, well, Nia's money's like all the stash stuff she keeps in case she was going, like her on the run bag. It's like, it's all still there. Because I think Darnell's like, despite us having like a rift right now, the fact of the matter is when it's all said and done, if she was going to bounce and be gone potentially forever, she would have told me. She's my sister, Once again, I'm still curious, is Jess and Murphy the only ones that know about their relationship? I don't think Sam knows. That episode made it seem like Sam didn't know. I don't know if Max and Felix know. Maybe they do at this point in time. Maybe it's just kind of a conversation that's happening in between episodes. But obviously he's like, oh yeah, you guys see Murphy? I'm going to talk to Murphy. And it's like, oh, dude, this is... so much is happening at once. And so, at first, like, Murphy has to be reluctant. She's, like, super reluctant about, like, talking to, like, Chloe and being like, yeah, like, she's still awkward and everything. And so the fact of the matter is when it's all said and done, like, Murphy kind of has to kick up her performance, and she's like, yeah, oh, we're having so much fun. Yeah, like, oh, your dad's terrible cooking. I got Sour Patch Kids. And she's like, oh, thanks for having, so it's like, it's just like, I was like, man, this is the most messed up, like, awkward dinner/hostage situation that's going on here. And so Murphy's just playing the role, and then, okay, it's like, okay, so now that that's done, we can go, right? He's like, yeah. After a little bit, she's like, what? He's like, let's have a drink. I'm like, Dean. She's like, what? No. He's like, let's have a drink. I'm like, what the? I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And that smile across Dean's face and everything was like very psychotic. I was like, at first, my immediate thought was like, wait, has this always been about Murphy for Dean in a sense of like, has he, like, he's always, like, is he been obsessed with her? I was like, has trying to be a good guy again, not just about making up for your mistakes, has it been about trying to make Murphy look at you differently? And to a certain extent, I think maybe it was. Because in the grand scheme of things, I thought it was from an affection standpoint of like, oh, I still love you, Murphy. I want you to love me too. I was like, this is about it. But I think the way the direction they were taking it is actually, oh, I want you to see me as a good guy, so you stop coming after me about the whole Tyson thing. Because for him, it's like, I want to know if, because it's like, for him, it's like, we're in the same shoes, because I know you killed Nia. Granted, the whole conversation never came up about how he knows that you killed Nia. The fact of the matter is that he was making a deal with her, and it was going to set, you and Gene up, especially Gene, going to set Gene up to get killed. Kind of jumped over that little nugget of information, but the fact of the matter is, he's like, but you understand my position now. Like, the fact is how things can get out of hand, and it's like, my situation with Nia is very different from Tyson's situation. Your situation with Tyson. Granted, if you wanted to be an asshole about it, you can draw consistencies of like, oh, you were in a desperate situation. His situation was very different, and I don't want to give Dean leeway in that, but it's just like, in his mind, it's like, oh, it's the same thing. You're backed into a corner, or you're desperate. Like, you understand? She's like, no, we are not the same. And he's getting pissed, like, you're acting like we're different. We are exactly the same. And because he's like, I want to know if you could ever forgive me. She's like, no, we will never be cool. So for him, then Gene shows up. Then Gene's like, yeah, I got some questions, and Dean's dodging all around it. It's like, oh snap, it's just all going wrong. But at the same time, Murphy's overhearing the conversation. I think at first it's like, wait, you're not a cop right now either. And then she hears the whole setup at Guiding Hope and everything. It's like, you've got the drugs, they're not at Guiding Hope. Oh man, part of me was also thinking like, are you about to set Gene up to kill him? I was like, what are you about to do? What are you going to do with that? Regardless, the fact of the matter is, Murphy goes upstairs. She wakes Chloe up and just like drops bomb after bomb. I've been lying. Your dad held me hostage. He had me say all this stuff. It was never about Jules. He killed my friend. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, you're dropping all of this at once on a teenager who just thought like, oh man, you and her dad made up. And she's even saying like, oh, are you guys going to get back together? And they're like, no, we're just going to be friends. And it's just like, after all that, just boom, 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 truth bomb. It's like, okay, I know how you're feeling right now. I need you to do this. I need you to get your dad's keys. I need you to take them to do this, and get to Jess. She give her the keys, let her know what she needs out your dad's car is there. But Chloe's just like, get out. And just like, understandably, it's like, it's kind of sucky, because that's why Murphy didn't want to tell her from the beginning. That's why she's kind of held on to it this entire time. I mean, before, because she didn't want to completely, leave kind of Chloe alone in the world, because she knew like this would destroy their relationships. But regardless, like, the fact of the matter is, he's like, you have Dean being like, all right, fine, this is what it is, let's go. But she's like, no, I want to drink, because she hears Chloe sneaking out. And it's like, okay, so things are working on that front. Darnell gets a call from Sam, and everyone's like, don't say it. Jess is like, I need to tell him. Like, he's going to find out regardless. She walks out just as Darnell's learning. And it's like, she's like, I had no choice. Nia was going to kill Murphy. I had to. And, it's still a lot to process, because it's like, I just need a minute, just a second of you not talking, Jess. But then, like, it's like, who else knows? It's like, Vincent knows, and Sam knows. Well, and Sterling knows. And he's like, all right, I'll take care of it. She's like, no. Sterling already took care of it. It's like, no, you don't know, Jess. When someone like Nia is taken out, like, you're going to have someone else coming after you. So I guess there's, like, people that are connected to Nia's network. It's not just Sam and Vincent. Those are her right-hand people. But at the end of the day, like, she might be part of a larger organ. Well, because she has, obviously this whole thing is like, she's working with like a cartel and stuff like that. So also it's going to turn into a power vacuum thing, which maybe Josiah plans on that. Like, in a sense, like, it seems like obviously he might be trying to fill that hole. Granted, he doesn't necessarily know about Nia, but I think eventually he'll probably find out with everything. We'll get to there soon enough, but I'm curious, or, because Darnell's like, yo, we got to meet up. It's like, I was like, is that Josiah? But we never find out that is Josiah, so I'm like, who the hell is he calling? Like, either, like, there's people with connections that's with Nia that's like, if they find out that Nia's dead and you're responsible, they'll come after you. Or once again, maybe like I said, it's just going to probably be like, in that drug business, it's going to be a power vacuum that not just Josiah is going to be filling, like other people are going to try and fill. Maybe the cartel or whatever is just going to try to lean in more. We'll kind of have to wait and see on that. Obviously, the conversation between Jess and Felix was really interesting too, because it's like, because Felix is just kind of like, yeah, this is kind of, it's like, because the whole conversation is like, how do we get here? It's like, yeah, we stole a bag of money, and Murphy and Jess is like, it's not all on Murphy, but Felix is like, I mean, we'd both do anything for her, so yeah, it kind of falls back on her to a little, an extent, But I think that it's still, the circumstances are crappy, but the sentiment is still sweet. The fact is that they're here because both of them are willing to do anything for Murphy. Once again, when you actually think about it in comparison to like Felix, that's kind of interesting, especially like that. But I feel like they definitely gotten super close over this season. I'm sure like Murphy would probably be like, what? Ew, gross, no. But nevertheless, so there's all of that. Then Gene, like I had skipped over it, but Gene, as he was walking by, he sees the boxes, so he's like, "That's where the drugs are," because I guess they were guiding Hope boxes, so he knew exactly what they were. It's like, "Oh, you want me to meet you in an hour, right?" Right. He goes back to the station. He tries to tell their captain. He's like, "Yo, I think Gene." He's working with Nia. He's like, "You're mistaken. Back the hell," because for him, he wanted to. Gene was like, "I want to go about this the appropriate way," and it's like, "Nope. Back your hell up. You don't know what you're talking about." So now he realizes how higher up this goes. Like, you might not necessarily be working for Nia, but you're covering for Dean. Because now he knows if Dean goes down, it's going to look bad on the department. And that's what that was his reasoning for everything in the beginning of the season. But especially now, this could rear even uglier heads, because it'll be like, at this point, because it would bring up the question then, and even more so now, like, how much did you know and when did you find out? He could spin it to be like, oh, the moment I found. But it's like, why didn't you arrest Dean rather than just fire him? So it's like it's a lose-lose situation all around. But I think it was like Gene calls in the DEA, I think, or the DA, whatever the case may be. But it's like, man, once again, he might seem like a goofy idiot or something sometimes, but the fact of the matter is, Gene's once again really good at what he does, especially when the investigation came into it. Dude, that's nuts. But it really all came to a head with, it's like, well, Chloe shows up, they got the keys, they go and get the drugs. And I love that they're trying to steal all the drugs and everything, and then the cops are rolling up, and then the fact of the matter is, Jess is like, we didn't get all the drugs. It's like, all we can do is hope that Josiah doesn't know how much he was supposed to be getting or how much it is. It's like, hope. I even love Jess like going back there and covering it up, and they're like, Jess, she's like, sorry, and she closes it, and they bounce. Dean on the inside being like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I know you're stalling, you're manipulating me because you manipulated me before, like, what's going on? Wait, where's Chloe? It's like, because I knew you were going to screw us over, I sent her away. And he was like, that wasn't the plan. He's like, the plan wasn't, it didn't become that until you said you weren't going to forgive me. And she's almost like, what does that have to do with anything? And it's because he knows that unless he was sure that Murphy would forgive him, he knew that she would come after him forever and ever about the Tyson thing. So that's what that was all about. And it's just like, now he's panicking because he's like, okay, we can spin this. We could be like, Nia forced both of us, blah, blah, blah. But obviously, Gene's on the other side door, like, it's not going to happen. I know you're working for Nia. You got like 50-some things of drugs in the back. And then he's like, oh, were you keeping me busy while your friends ended up stealing the drugs? And he's panicking about trying to like find a way out of this. He's like, think. It's like, oh, dude, it's all come down to this. And it's like, he's like, I can't get arrested because Chloe's going to know. And she's like, I told Chloe. And for him, that shatters his world. It's like, she's never going to talk to me again. He's like, despite all the terrible things he's done, it's always been about making sure she has a better life. And I was like, the way he was leaning against the wall, I was like, oh, please don't tell me. And he pulls out the gun. And I was like, oh, she's like, no. She needs you. You're her daddy, everything. Like, just put the gun away. And he kills himself. I was like, shit. Because despite everything, it's like, you still don't, because more so than anything, you know what this means for Chloe. And I think, and you could tell on Murphy's face, it left her conflicted because she knew what it meant that Dean being dead, what that meant for Chloe. But also at the same time, the sad thing is, you can tell there's a part of her that's probably a little alleviated too, because it's like she knows how much of a terrible person Dean is and was. But also it's like, yeah, because you killed my best friend, so one of my best friends, so it's like, yeah, I'm kind of like you, and I think that's very human to feel very conflicted. So that's why you feel sad, and at the same time you kind of don't care because you're like, but like, that's the very complicated nature of that character, Dean. So Gene's like, all right, like, the fact of the matter is, I know you were working for Nia, heard about your situation from Sterling. Granted, you don't have to worry about it. Nothing's ever going to happen to you guys because there isn't enough evidence to really like convict you guys, because any evidence that would point to you guys was by Dean, and it's from the poisonous tree, so it doesn't really work like that. But so Murphy ends up telling him the truth. It's like Dean ended up killing he ended up killing Tyson. Jeez, I'm sorry, I was blinking on Tyson thing for a bit. He would never get like everything related to Joel's death. Would never. To be fair, he was indirectly involved. That's always going to circle back to Sam and Nia. So that's always going to be something that they had to like. That was always going to be used against him. So he pointed the gun. They're the ones who pulled. Well, they pointed the gun, and Sam's the one that ended up pulling the trigger. You get what I'm trying to say. That I wouldn't even know how to handle like what that conversation would be like when Murphy has to explain all that to Chloe. It's like, ugh. Like, so I'm assuming she has to live with extended family, because part of me was wondering like, what's that mean for her and Murphy going forward? Like, obviously, you know, like she started trusting Murphy again. She's like, I can trust Murphy about my dad, but it's like that's got to be rough. I mean, because she has to leave town. There's no way she can stay there, like, because literally everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, her dad, yeah, did you hear? But like that, you know, that's gonna be in some newspapers and stuff like that. It's gonna become public knowledge. Granted, I'm sure the precinct's gonna try and sweep that under the rug, but still, it's like ain't no sweeping that under the rug. It's too much of a hot mess of a situation. So it's like, it's just, she'd has to live with some extended family. Part of me was wondering, would she stay with Murphy? But even if she stayed with Murphy, that'd just be a reminder. And also, like, Murphy probably be like, I don't know what to do taking care of a teenager. What? You know, she's got her own life to figure out and stuff like that. But nevertheless, that's just all a complicated mess of a situation. I love that they drop off the others dropped off the drugs, because even Gene was like, oh, where's the rest of them drugs? And Murphy's like, oh, I have no idea. He's like, all right, that's fine. He's like, they'll probably show up eventually. Hard cut to them making a deal. Decides like, this is more than what I was expecting. And you're like, oh, thank God he doesn't know how much it really was. They're like, all right. He's like, here's $40,000. And you're like, no, that's good. That's great. But we're good. And he's like, no. You head up here into the car tray. He's like, yeah. Gives him the $40K. And you're just like, thanks. And I love it. It's the most awkward drug deal ever. It's like, thanks. He's like, have a good day. You have a good day too. He's like, that's a cute dog. I'm like, I love this thing walking away. And it's like, when it's all said and done, it's like, so what do we do? Felix is like, I guess we go back to work tomorrow. I was like, what? Really? And it's like, yeah. They got some stuffs lined up, and Jess is like, no, like, I'm fine with doing some grooming for a dog. She's just like, anything, to get back to their normal, boring lives. And everyone's kind of saying their goodbyes and everything. Then there's the moment between Max and Murphy. It comes down to like, okay, so where do we stand in all of this? For her, it's like, obviously she feels conflicted, because it's like, she feels like her and Max are bad for each other. It's like, I'm bad for you, you're bad for me. We just bring out the worst in each other. So for her, it's like, I think we both deserve an opportunity to kind of move on. And he was like, is it about that guy? And he literally asked her, like, if it's ever about that dude, don't tell me about it. And he's like, right, I see it. And she's, because he's like, despite everything we've been through, you just want to end that. And she just, and so he's walking away, and she's like, where are you going? He's like, moving on. And he's like, I'll see you around. And it's like, oh, you feel a little heartbroken by it, but at the same time, it's like, that's a complicated situation. Then Murphy's like, all right, I need someone to be here with me. So she calls up Josh and everything, and it's like, all right. It's like, well, I was wondering, I was like, oh, man. Because especially after last episode, I was like, I kind of was thinking she might lean more towards Max, because, it's like, oh, because his partner Pam was like, oh, yeah, you might be losing your sight, but you get the girl at the end of the day. And it's like, oh, they're spending time together. He runs into the desk, and a picture falls. I'm like, is that going to turn into something? Is that going to reveal something? I was like, it's just a picture, right? What would it reveal? And then it's like, oh, here's a picture of her ex, Max Parrish. Wait, what? You're dating a cop. You were dating a cop that was investigating you. You were dating her money man, and now you're dating. It's like, wait, what? What's going on? And Murphy was just like, ugh. In that one instance, everything unraveled. And she's like, just because you had that all in common. He was like, what do you mean we had that in common? How do you know I was investigating Nia? It's like, ooh, slip of the tongue. Ooh. And she's like, what? I like Murphy does that. I like that being just when you're caught in a lie, you're like, what? She was like, she didn't even realize she said that. So then he kind of pieces it all together. It's like been about this. No, what? And then she's like, he's like, tell me the truth. She's like, fine, I don't want to lie to you. Yes, we didn't have a choice. And he's like, you always have a choice. She was going to kill me and the people I care about. And it's just kind of a thing of like, when that was all said and done, he was like, all right, then he starts thinking about like Nia's situation. It's like, wait, she didn't open up the cleaners and like all like the past, she's never missed an opportunity in the past 15 years. People are thinking she's dead. And then she's like, and then that night, he's like, oh yeah, I was at work. She's like, who goes to work at 6 o'clock in the morning? Felix, and she's like, he was like, your blood, dirt, did you kill Nia? And it's like, oh, he's like, I'm not going to let you get away with this. I'm like, oh, dude, because that's not, Josh is a good person. And he's just like, it's like, it was a very messy, complicated situation. And it's just like, no, she's like, please let me explain. And he's like, where's my phone? I'm like, oh boy. I was like, there was a part of me that was scared. I was like, are you gonna kill him or something? I was like, you can't do that. I mean, I know you're not going to, but I was like, you wouldn't do that, would you? I mean, that'd draw too much more attention. I was like, are you gonna do a good girl's boomer situation where you're just gonna lock him up till you figure something out? And it's like, she cuts off the light because she knows his vision's messed up. She wakes up Jess. It's like, call Felix, call Max. We gotta go. He knows. I'm like, dude. So this puts them in a situation where they're gonna be on the run. I'm like, dude, how do you... Oh, it's a messy, messy situation. Because once again, no one else knows except for Darnell that Nia's dead. But now because of this, it's probably going to become widespread. I mean, granted, this is going to complicate things for Josh because it's going to be like, oh, you were sleeping with her? How do you know this information and stuff like that about like Nia and stuff like... It's going to get complicated. Like, there's still like a lot of loose ends. Sam's locked up, Sterling's locked up. Obviously, Sam, being who she is, might use this as an opportunity to try and deal with Sterling, maybe potentially. I don't know. In the Dark has been renewed for a third season, but with this season finale, I'm like, where are we going? Because there's no just like normal life after this. You are going to literally be on the run. I think this is going to be the change. I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see how they find their way out of this, especially with that whole Josiah thing, giving them the 40,000. There might be more circling back around to that. Like, I think like the fact that you took that money, that's probably going to be like another nail in a coffin for you later on at some point. Once again, there's still that whole angle of what Darnell was up to. It's like, what was he talking about? Especially if the news once again becomes public about Nia. It's like, what's going to happen on that front. Let's not forget there's still the whole Ben situation. So it's like, well, if they're on the run, that might not be something they have to worry about. But let's not forget, if they find Nia's body, they're going to find Ben's body. And that's going to turn into a whole complicated set of worms. There's also the whole Murphy and Max situation, because like, well, you chose him over me, and that ended up backfiring. And even he was like, I'm not coming back. It's like they're moving on, kind of don't have much of a choice of moving on now, and it's just gonna be like, oh, that's probably gonna be hung over her the entire time, like, yeah, because I chose Josh. Like, once again, there was even the thing of Jess being like, you're not really yourself, you're kind of playing a different version of yourself. And it's so sad because she really had a thing for him. It's like, well, to be fair, it's like, it's a complicated thing because like you're part of this like messed up criminal situation, and Max being a criminal, you might be bad for each other, but you can only ever be honest with each other. You would have ought to constantly lie forever with Josh. And speaking of the Darnell situation, I'm curious like what that means for his relationship with all of them. Because I feel like, obviously with Max, because they covered it up. But more than anything, like, I mean, just knowing that Jess is the one that pulled the trigger on your sister. Yeah, she might have been going to kill Murphy, but still, that's your sister. So, once again, like I said, the Sam and, Sterling thing, will we get any hints to that at all? Like, I'm assuming that the detective we're going to be following next season is going to be Gene. Like, because I'm sure he's trying to, like, because he promised Murphy he'd look into some of, like, the evidence about Tyson and stuff like that. Especially knowing that, that at least some of the higher-ups might be involved in all the... A lot of interesting directions. I'm curious. Like I said, I don't know what to expect full scope-wise for a third season. Obviously, these are things kind of popping in my head of what it could be about and everything, but it's just like in the full scope of just like where things could head. I have no idea. And I'm so excited to find out what they do with season 3. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.